Yes, people. How's it all going? It's been a while, but we're back.
Sounding out of breath, Max. What's going on, mate?
Well, I'm quite out of breath. I'm disorganised as ever. It was a bit of a rush on the M25. Chock-a-block. I sent you boys the big red road I was on, littered with delays. But
have you been out testing your eyesight, Max?
Parted like the Red Sea after a while. Like the Arsenal back four. Back five is solid though. But yeah, back in the podcast proceedings. It's good. Happy with it.
Yeah.
Tilly,
back in the game.
How you getting on?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, I'm all right. I thought I'd have been a little bit more pissed off with obviously Liverpool winning the league, ending their 30 years of hurt. Or, well, they seem to think it's ended their 30 years of hurt. I seem to think there's still 12 behind us. But yeah, no, I'm enjoying football quite a lot at the moment. And yeah, it's nice to be back going. But yeah, things are good.
Albert, how are you faring? Is your internet connection a little bit better today?
Not bad. Same old. I don't know. It's we'll have to wait and see. Give it half an hour, and it might be delaying a bit. But no, yeah, not bad. Going back to work in a couple of days, so just sort of enjoying the last of our own freedom before back to the grind.
Love it. Yeah, furlough freedom. Can't put a price on that one, can you?
I'm enjoying being back, mate. I tell you, getting boring. It's getting boring.
Cobes, how you getting on, mate?
I'm good. Tottenham are 1-0 down.
Yeah,
they got a contentious goal ruled out through some controversial VAR decisions, which is everything that I want to see. I actually live with a Tottenham fan, and when I went downstairs, the injustice, the level of vitriol I saw in his face and his voice when he was explaining to me just how that goal got disallowed has redoubled my energy for this podcast.
Mate, I'll tell you what,
it's giving me the energy that I need to really talk about football.
If you can get that sort of Tottenham Hotspur bullshit energy, just bottled it and put it in a vial, I would just inject it every day.
Every day.
Every single day. There's nothing quite
pre-workout, mate. Pre-workout gets you going.
Oh, well, I'd be hooked on the stuff, I tell you. Lads, I don't think... Have we done a podcast since the football's been being played? We
haven't, because we missed one last week.
We're trying to find a time that works for everyone, and eventually it's come to today. Well, Body's not here, of course. He's moving. No Wi-Fi, so that's... I mean, I'm sure he'd love to sing Newcastle's praises, but we'll have
it's probably a good job that he's not come on after their first convincing performance of the season. Maybe the decade.
Exactly.
Body's probably got a mouthful of it's a bit laggy, but yeah, I was gonna say Body's probably got a mouthful of Alan Sam Maximan's cock right now, so he's a bit busy, so he can't do the podcast.
Jesus,
whoa,
graphic.
Just like to apologise in advance to any offence that may have caused anyone.
Are we not swearing?
Well, the way he's been talking.
No, I don't mind swearing.
That was quite.
But Fellatio's a bit graphic.
I think it was more the way you said it, to be honest.
He's waited on a live stream.
Brilliant. Anyway, football, lads. Football.
Well, if Body's watching,
he's not. He's zero viewers, Coben. Just all zero of you. I hope you didn't take any offence from that comment of Albert.
Okay, well, yeah. On the rewatch. Body,
no, it's not.
But yeah, Liverpool have won the league. That has no real bearing on Arsenal's season, of course. I would congratulate them, but I honestly don't feel like they would have won the league if it wasn't for COVID-19. That's exactly the story that I'm going to tell. I'm sticking to my story. The kids and the grandkids, it's going to be the year that COVID-19 is the only reason that Liverpool broke their duck.
No, the only reason Liverpool won the league is because City fucked it. I'm
sticking to my story, mate.
No, but the thing is,
there's no Liverpool appreciation here, is there?
Nah, because they're scouts.
No, I can appreciate them. I do appreciate.
I will say, shout out to Sadio. Shout out to Sadio Mane. You're wavy. Shout out.
He might come on next week now, Coben. Now you said that.
Yeah, get him on.
Cobes, you ain't shutting
You're
out.
wavy. Your hairline's dead, but you're wavy.
What about Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain? You got time for him?
It's a football podcast, mate.
It's
There's
not
no room for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain here, mate.
It's not a TikTok podcast, is it, Coben?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Dancing.
Oh,
Get the fuck out of it, Alex.
Did you see his video when he won it? Sort of filmed himself.
He's won it.
Hey,
Do you want to rephrase that? Max?
When Liverpool were crowned.
No,
champion.
I haven't actually. Funnily enough, don't follow Alex on socials.
Well, I don't know,
He's the same lad who basically completely threw an Arsenal game playing against Liverpool before his move. And then before he's even left London, he's changed all his socials. He's put it straight to Liverpool. Arsenal's come straight out of the bio. Why would I ever be following him now?
Well, I don't really think you follow anyone. Your social media is a bit of a myth, to be honest.
Yeah, facts. I follow Kingy though. Thierry Henry's got that follow.
Yeah. That's all you want, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, Liverpool. I mean, I don't know if people want to dwell on it too long. It was the inevitable, really. 30 years in the making. But they were so far ahead this season.
30 years in the making. 30 years in the They've been waiting for 30 years. It's only been in the making since Klopp came.
All right, mate.
I
think that's a good place to start. So, Liverpool have won the league this year. So, if you actually look at the odds, Man City have the best odds to win the league next year.
Yeah, I see that.
So, what do you think of that? What do you think of the fact that Man City are obviously odds-on favourites, and also? Do you think this Man City-Liverpool duopoly on the Premier League is, due for an end, or do you think they're just going to recycle, get new players in, and carry on dominating the league?
Well, that was going to be my answer. The money's on the 12-1 Man United. What's the point? What's the point of backing anyone else?
Oh, here we go.
12-1, mate.
Okay, yeah. So okay. Hot takes out of the way. Let's get back into serious football discussion.
Seriously, I think Liverpool are the better team at the moment. I'm kind of a little bit shocked to see City favourites, although someone did suggest that maybe that could be due to a lack of European football next year. Might allow them to focus their efforts a little bit more on the league. Obviously, that's not confirmed yet, but I think we'll all be very shocked if they keep a place in Europe next year. But yeah, I think that Chelsea and United are inching towards them too, and I think a lot will come down to what happens this summer in terms of transfers between them four clubs. But yeah, I think that they're probably a lot shorter prices than they perhaps should be, and I also feel that Liverpool should probably be the favourites ahead of City.
Albert?
Yeah, for me, it's an interesting one with Liverpool because obviously you look at the team in the now and you see that team and unbeatable essentially. They've been so good throughout this season, so you think going into next season they probably would be able to replicate it. But as you sort of said and alluded to before, it's yes, you've got this one title, it's now what can you build like a legacy or something within a spell of domination within the next 5 years. And I mean, you look at some of the players in that sort of the age group of some of the Liverpool players. There's not longevity, and sort of there's been question marks in the past before about sort of the front three, especially, be it Mane, Salah, or Firmino. It's sort of like you have to replace them, and it's sort of there has to be a transition between it. So it's sort of yes, I think Liverpool obviously they're sort of.
Sorry, Albert. I just got to pause you there. I was just laughing at this, lads.
Oh, Jack's body in the comments.
Sorry, Albert.
Sorry, what's that? Go on.
Do you want to see it?
Yeah.
No doubt. That's my favourite part of the quote. The no doubt.
Comma. No doubt.
I like how he said no doubt and then questioned his doubt.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. I mean, we cut across Albert. Max, what do you think of the odds on the title next year? And where do you think the rest of the clubs are in catching up with Liverpool and City?
For me, I feel like Liverpool are going to be favourite. Well, they're not favourites by the bookies, but for me, I back them to do it again, as things stand. I just can't really think you can look past their form at the moment. This season they've been phenomenal. I don't think anyone can argue that. Who comes second or how Man City do? I think for me depends on where they reinvest this summer, because there's big holes there that need to be filled. You think about the likes Coburn we spoke about; they've never replaced Vincent Kompany. David Silva's going to move on, so they're going to have to bring someone else in there. So they are going to make signings that they're going to. That for me, they might have to look into a left back as well.
But they linked with David Alaba the other day. Did I see?
You're not having Mendy. You're not having Mendy, Max.
Mate, did you watch the Chelsea game? I feel like it's not the same Bernard Mendy that was at Monaco.
Benjamin Mendy.
Sorry, you know the one I meant, not the whole one. Benjamin Mendy. Yeah. It's not the same one that we know and love. As much as he is quite jokes on Twitter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just feel like it depends. When we see how active they are and then I can maybe make more of a decision. Chelsea have invested well, but as we saw last night, they need to maybe reinvest more. I think they've got a lightning attack when adding Werner and Ziyech into it. But Marcos Alonso maybe looks like he might be having his last season.
Well, Marcos Alonso has always been a suspect in a back four.
Yeah,
he was incredible in Conte's back five because
he worked so well.
Encourages you to use your midfield qualities in a back four. I just don't think he really has the chops. I mean, with regards to Liverpool City, I actually think I've got a different opinion to Albert. He spoke about the longevity of the team being in question. I think one of the most dangerous things about this Liverpool squad is actually their contract management situation is very, very strong.
Yeah,
so I think when I was looking at Liverpool, a year ago, you look at the likes of Mo Salah, you look at the likes of Firmino, you look at the likes of Virgil van Dijk, who's just signed a new contract, and Liverpool's contract situation and contract management situation has been very strong. Virgil van Dijk is now the highest paid Liverpool player of all time, and he's only on £220,000 a week. So their front three, who are scoring incredible amounts of goals and breaking all sorts of records, are on reasonable money. If I understand it correctly, all of their key players have at least 2 years in their deal, and everyone's buying into that Liverpool philosophy of being selfless for the group and working hard for the team.
Nothing to do with the Liverpool philosophy. It's Klopp's philosphy. Don't relate that philosophy.
Klopp is the Liverpool manager.
Horrible bastards.
Klopp is the Liverpool manager currently, and so they are, they're inextricably linked, unfortunately. And just like how Arsenal were 1-0 to the Arsenal, Arsene Wenger came in. Now Arsenal is associated with that kind of football. He's left his imprint on the culture of the team, the identity of the team, and the public perception of the team. And I think Klopp will do the same. I think, for example, if Steven Gerrard came in from Rangers, took over after Klopp, they wouldn't go back to a Rafa Benitez type side. They wouldn't go back to, who's the Leicester manager who's basically just given up on life now? He's got a new contract. Brendan Rodgers. They wouldn't go back to a Brendan Rodgers kind of style. They would carry on with that Klopp style with modification. I think he really has put himself into the heart and mind and soul of that club. I think it will carry on with a Klopp-like identity after the fact.
But so are a lot of other teams. They're taking on this Klopp-like sort of approach to playing football. I mean, you look at United, obviously, being a big United fan, I'm over the moon with the way we're playing football at the moment. We look really threatening for the first time in quite a while. And it would be a lie if you didn't draw comparisons between the way we've been playing recently and the way Liverpool tried to play with that quite high pressing, high tempo football. And I think that, Liverpool and City, as I mentioned before, are the two at the top of the pack at the moment, and they both play very similar styles. So, like you say about it not going back to the sort of the dark ages, well, I don't think any club's going to go that way, because I think all clubs are leaning towards trying to play this attacking football, bar a couple of lower table ones that can't. Well, yeah,
would you not say? Would you not say that's? Go on.
Tilly, I mean,
I was just going to say, do you not think that is the way football's gone nowadays? Oh,
Mate, sorry.
sorry, mate.
Stop doing your
Sorry.
Wi-Fi on a potato.
At least you don't get it from the post office.
I mean, okay, so I'll just interject quickly because Albert's internet's not really working for him. On the point that Manchester United and Liverpool are pretty similar, I actually think that's pretty reductive from a tactical perspective, simply because one of the key attributes of Liverpool's tactical system is their fullback overlaps. And I don't think that Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw profile in any way similarly to Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold. And
I think that's the only difference, though, is we look for the underlap. We've got ball-playing centre-halves in Maguire and Lindelof, and they're very comfortable getting the ball and bringing it out into the midfield. And that's why Matic has been so important for us in the last dozen games or so, because as soon as one of them dribbles the ball out, sit in, fine, not a problem. The defender then can play into a midfielder, and quite often you'll see the centre-half overlapping out wide, or the centre-half will underlap the full-back. And Matic just drops in and fills that gap. And teams don't know how to handle it. Like that goal that United scored the other day, the first one that Martial scored, where Rashford smashed it across. The only reason we scored that goal is because Lindelof drew the fullback. Sorry, it was Greenwood's goal, because Lindelof drew the fullback and it gave Greenwood the space to cut inside. And that's the only real difference in them two teams.
So you think from a midfield perspective, your midfield operate in a quite similar fashion, and from a striker perspective, you operate?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I think so, yeah. I would argue so.
There's been obviously a lot of talk about United, and they have looked great since they've been back with obviously Fernandes, sorry. Oh, sorry, you can that long drive's taking it out of me. Fernandes. I'm getting confused with Hitarito.
Don't forget Pogba either. I think Pogba's looked incredible since he's come back.
Like that as the two of them playing together look great. Like I can't fault that at all. And you know, they're saying that United have got their swagger back. Would you agree with that, Tilly?
I don't know if it's swagger, mate. And I think Ollie answered this similar question the other night after a game. He said, how do you feel you played today? Do you think you made a statement? And he said, we don't need to make a statement. He said, the last thing we need to do is make a statement. We need to carry on winning games. We're Man United. We don't need to tell anyone who we are.
His statement's why I hate him.
We know we're playing good football. I think it's bang on.
I'm so tired of we're Man United bollocks. Herrera used to love all that.
Yeah,
we're Man United. We don't need to prove anything.
At the end of the day, mate, though, we don't. that's the thing, and I think
yes, you do. You do. Man United have not achieved anything.
Mate. Come on.
Yeah, but you'll hear this loud and clear then. United haven't achieved anything in about the past 5 years. So for you to say we're Man United, everything, football's changed. Liverpool have now moved way ahead of United, right, so of other teams as well.
We could still win more trophies this season than Liverpool.
Yeah, lads,
it doesn't mean anything, but Liverpool have won the Premier League.
You're absolutely wrong. You're 100% wrong. To come from where we have, from
there's clearly a division in opinion here, right? So let's just do it this way, right?
Outrageous statement the other day, though, Tilly, when you said that if you win the Europa League, finish top 4, what was it, and win the
FA Cup, Europa League, and finish third.
Let's do this. Let's do this, right? Let's do this, boys. Tilly, what do you think United would have to do tactically and in the transfer market to really challenge Liverpool and City next year? Next year, not in 2 years or 3 years. Next year.
I think we just need that 11 that we've got at the moment that seems to have started the last couple of games, bar the quarterfinal. It's pretty strong, and the only areas that maybe look to improve would be a right winger, which I think Jadon Sancho is perfect to come in and play that role, but you don't really know. I think the likes of Sanchez is just get rid of him. He's a waste of time now. And maybe another world-class centre-half just to drop in there. Lindelof can be a little bit 50-50, not very consistent. I mean, Eric Bailly, full fitness, is better than...
So you're having Luke Shaw?
Luke Shaw's not been too bad since the return, and I just think with with Brandon Williams emerging over the last sort of season or so, I don't think there's much concern there. I had this conversation with one of my mates the other day, and he said, "Do you not need a left back?" And I said, "Yeah, but arguably, who could you bring in that's going to be miles better than Brandon Williams?" And I'm not saying Brandon Williams is the best left back in the league. I'm not saying he's anywhere near that. But if you were to bring somebody in to replace him, he's arguably going to be a little bit better, but we're nowhere near the potential. and nowhere near the determination and nowhere near the heart that lad has. So I wouldn't change that.
We've got exact opposite opinions on, I think, the Manchester United left back space, because I genuinely think when you first bought Luke Shaw, you bought him to be an attacking, overlapping fullback. He was plagued by injuries. He's had to change his game in response to those injuries because he doesn't have that blistering speed that he did before. But I feel like playing in a back three, supporting Brandon Williams, playing under Jose Mourinho, when he got a lot of plaudits for defensive performances. When I watch Luke Shaw now, I see a defensively astute fullback. I see a fullback who I feel comfortable having other wingers come down the line. I feel comfortable trying to lock down that left wing on his own. And I genuinely never thought I'd feel that way about Luke Shaw when I initially watched his performances. But I think defensively, he has improved leaps and bounds. I think that period of time where Mourinho said he's a bit overweight and put a bit of pressure on him has had a massively positive influence in his career. He looks so mature when he plays the game now. He looks like ice is going through his veins. He doesn't look like he's panicking. He looks like he's got good defensive shape, good level of responsibility, and knows what he has to do. At the same time, I think Brandon Williams is diabolical. I don't think Brandon Williams is ever going to be a Premier League level football player. I don't think he's got the potential to be a top 10 team in the Premier League. I don't think he's got potential to be a bottom 10 team in the Premier League. I think he could potentially be later on in his career a very, very strong Championship fullback. But I personally don't see the potential.
Can you name 10 left backs in the Prem better than Brandon Williams?
I couldn't name 10 left backs in the Prem.
Well,
so Brandon Williams he's only there because United had a bit of lack in their squad.
Tilly, just out of interest, do you think Brandon Williams is better than Tierney? That's not even an That's not an
No, it'd be unfair for me to say because I haven't seen enough of Tierney and I know he's been injured and come back. So it'd be an unfair comparison for me to make because I don't have enough information to make a proper judgment on that.
Fair.
So I mean, my heart tells me Brandon Williams all day long. You know that because I'm a Red Bull. I'm not going to say.
Do you think he's better than current Leighton Baines?
Yeah.
Do you think he's better than Jamal Lewis?
Tilly doesn't know who that is.
You think he's better than Jamal Lewis?
I think he's better than most players.
Do you think he's better than
Tilly? Who does Jamal Lewis play for?
Who?
Jamal Lewis
or Marcus Alonso?
Marcus Alonso is pretty decent, isn't he?
Just avoid that.
Do you think he's better than Emerson?
Who?
Emerson, the Chelsea left back. Emerson, who plays when Alonso's not playing.
No idea.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Naming 10 left backs in the Premier League is pretty difficult. But I mean, I personally think Brandon Williams is diabolical, and he has been every time I've seen him. But when Luke Shaw has been inside him covering around, I think he spared his blushes, and Brandon Williams going forward is good. And I will give to Brandon Williams, he did do one very good recovery challenge in your last game, towards the end of the game when he came off the bench, and then turned around, looked composed in distribution of the ball. And maybe he's maturing a bit, but from the full 90s I've seen him play, I just think he's done out here.
That is so strong from a player that I didn't think you'd be that arse with, Coburn.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's nonsense on the screen.
I just can't.
Yeah,
I just
that
can't.
now.
With Manchester United, right? I feel like they've got such a great history of great British players that a lot of British players get tarred with that brush when they don't deserve to be. And there's a good reason to believe that they're going to go on to be top players because United have this history and this spectrum of great players who have come from Britain, have come through the United team and have competed at international level, European level and Premier League level. I just don't think Brandon Williams is one of those people. I'm happy to be proved wrong because it's always good to get a new young British lad. But generally speaking, I think that, he looks very much like, Hector Bellerin does now.
Do you think he's
I think you'll confidently be proved wrong on that one in years to come, Coburn. So
Coburn, I think you're already going to be.
I think it's more likely that I'll be proved wrong on the Phil Foden point that I made.
Yeah, you've already been proved wrong on Phil Foden. You've already been proved wrong.
Definitely not. Don't get excited. Calm down. What? Because Phil Foden's had a couple of good performances post-lockdown. You think suddenly that I'm wrong that he's never going to replace David Silva, never going to be a first-team player at Manchester City.
Oh my God,
Phil Foden! I'm happy to walk back.
Overrated player I've seen in a long time.
Have you ever seen Phil Foden? Have you ever seen Phil Foden play for the England youth setup?
Mate, you could put Marouane Fellaini in that City team and he'd do as good a job.
I'm not saying for the City
side. This is why we normally
I'm
have an agenda.
I'm saying for the. I'm saying.
I have actually got something. I'm going to move it on a bit because this is getting a bit shit. I've got an email that's been sent in by somebody. This is from Simon. This one, and he wants us to talk about the impact that the drinks breaks have had on the game. He also goes on to say, isn't it too American that we're having drink breaks, and how long will it be before somebody sponsors these and we see more adverts coming into the game, just like the NFL?
Firstly, what's Simon's second name?
Normanton.
Swear that's Simon
Normanton.
Yeah, it is. He emailed the question in.
He emailed.
Yeah.
I didn't receive a notification, but
in response to Simon.
Oh, thanks for sending that in, Simon. To be honest, I thought that was Tilly under a false name. So
no, he's my mate. He's my mate.
Cheers for emailing that in. Drinks breaks. Where do I begin? To be honest, I'm in the opinion, and I've argued with Body about this already, that there is being far too much made of drinks breaks. The players haven't played for 3 months or whatever. We're playing in the height of summer. Yes, I know every discussion seems to be had when it's raining or when it's a night game or 13 degrees, right? There's been a pandemic. Players aren't as fit as they were, and they're playing in the summer.
Why aren't they as fit as they were?
Huh?
Why aren't they as fit as they were? They're all on 6-figure salaries. They've all got home gyms. You're getting
paid.
Right,
yeah, I forgot. Getting paid. What's that to do with it?
Your job is to be fit.
Oh, don't talk like a dinosaur.
How am I, mate? You're getting paid thousands and thousands of
money
pounds
to do with it? What is money to do with it? Yeah, but they're not
being monitored. They're not being monitored.
They haven't done. They missed out probably 6 to 7 weeks of on the ball sessions in training. They're not going to have the same sharpness. They're not going to have the same fitness. That is a fact.
Sharpness, I agree with. I agree they might not be as sharp, but fitness, you cannot tell me that they cannot be doing 90 minutes running a day while they're at home, so that when they come back they can run for 90 minutes.
It's not the same though. It's not the same. You can do as much running as you want, but whenever you're going to go back, you're not going to be match fit. It's fact.
Sharpness, I agree with you, but fitness-wise, there's no excuses.
There is.
Okay.
Tilly, mate, whilst you've been at home, say you had some work to do or something, you're not telling me that you've put a little bit less of the effort in because of the fact you're at home or something like that. It's bound to happen.
Right, well then that's on the player then, isn't it? The impetus on the player. Oh, you put in a bit less effort because you're working from home. Hey, I'll have a drinks break now when you go back to work. Fuck off. If I went back to work because I've been doing less at home, and then I got extra breaks because I'd gone back and I've been doing less.
I don't really think that's relative, to be honest.
Have a drink after. If you want a drink, you're so unfit, you need a drink. Let the game carry on. You fuck off the pitch and go and get a drink and come back when you're ready.
We're playing in the heights of summer. We're expecting some games are going to be played in 30 degrees. Normally, in international tournaments, when that's the case, there will be a drinks break. They've just made it regulated across the Premier League. I personally don't see an issue with it. Yeah, it might disrupt the flow of a game, and it happens once every. It happens in the half, almost like a quarter. But for me, it doesn't really make a difference. Like,
well, it fucked us over against Spurs, didn't it? Because we were absolutely smashing them, and then the ref goes, "All right, lads, come and have some prawn sandwiches for 5 minutes." Fucking bollocks, mate! It's ruined the game.
I mean, I think you need to look within if the drinks break's bothering you that much. Where's Coburn gone? Where's Coburn gone? He didn't want to discuss.
Coburn's gone for a drinks break, mate.
Coburn's gone for a drinks break.
Right, let's just stop then, lads. Stop the pod because no one else can play. He wants a drink, so we've got to stop dead. We can't do anything now. So,
I don't think drinks breaks are gonna. They'll probably stop them when it comes back, though.
I think they will. I think they're going to be sponsored. They're going to have more adverts. I think as well. It was on Sky Sports. Someone said to me, if you watch the pre-game build-up now on Sky Sports, it's less than a minute before the first adverts from when the programme starts.
I actually think the Premier League have been brilliant throughout everything. I think they've been really good. The way that they started playing again, like the support for Black Lives Matter, I think they've been excellent throughout everything, and the fact that we are watching football at the moment is a privilege. So the fact that we're even fucking discussing drinks breaks, I'm not arsed with. But thank you, Simon, for sending it in.
Right in about your drink breaks.
I haven't really spoken on the topic. I think there are.
You went for a fucking drinks break.
Yeah, I think there are two issues at hand, right? First of all, the issue is around the continuity of the game. So I think people's main issue with drinks breaks isn't some sort of fitness issue. I don't think they're annoyed that players have come back perhaps unfit. I don't think they're annoyed that the Premier League has put protocols in place in case the players were unfit. Because as we discussed on the podcast previously, when other teams in other sports have had significant breaks, they've come back to a significant uptick in injuries. The same thing we saw in the Bundesliga. So of course the Premier League are going to put precautions in place to try and protect their players if they're going to come back and work under these extraordinary conditions.
Yeah,
it might have even been part of the negotiations to get the players to come back unilaterally. So we don't know what happened behind closed doors. So in a continuity perspective, I can see how it's frustrating. I feel frustrated watching the game. I can see how it might break momentum, and I can see how it resembles American sports. But from a purely pragmatic, logistical perspective, I can see how and why that's been put into place. I think the broader issue is, and this is the same with the 5 subs, it's the same with the fact that you could have entrance music with players. It's when the Premier League comes back under normal conditions, to what extent is this Americanization of the sport going to be held on to? Will there be any residual effects of this temporary period? Are we going to carry on having 5 subs?
Drinks breaks.
Are we going to carry on having drinks breaks? Are we going to carry on having potential entrance music for players coming in? And I think that's the bigger issue, because I feel like the Premier League as a consumer product is so much more well marketed than any other football product. And if you actually look at the Premier League and the amount of American money in the Premier League, you have Liverpool, who are American owned. You have Arsenal, who are American owned, and you have American money partly owning various different football clubs, including United, right? So we've already had an Americanization of the sport in the ownership level, but because of the culture of football, the history, the tradition, and the fans, who have been the most important part traditionally, we've always maintained a Britishness. We haven't moved towards the kind of trappings of American sports, even though I'm sure a lot of these people at board level are talking to the Premier League saying, we could do this, we could do that, we could do that to try and increase revenue. The Premier League have maintained integrity. And now that they've seen that they can have a product with no fans and put fan noise in, how is that going to affect the way they regard the fans? Now that we've seen that people are willing to accept drink breaks, how is that going to affect the way that they administrate the games? And I think really, because we don't have any guidance over how many of these changes could potentially roll over into permanence, it's a bit early to start speaking about these things, because we all know that they're playing football under extraordinary circumstances. So as much as I don't like drinks breaks, I can accept it in context. The problem is really if someone starts pitching any of these things that we don't like about the current game to be part of the normal game.
I feel like that and the 5 subs will just revert back when things get a bit more normal again. These are, as you say, extreme circumstances. So, I imagine
because that's changing the whole dynamic of the competition. But I really can't see them to getting rid of these drinks breaks.
I mean, we'll have to see. I don't have a crystal ball in front of me. So we'll have to see. Oh,
I mean, I think an interesting question really is there any change at all that we've seen over the time period?
How do you flash the comments up?
I'll get it up here now.
Body for a change is talking about the Newcastle takeover.
Still waiting on that.
Premier League haven't been great every week for you to take over.
He's been so active on there. I wondered why he doesn't just join the podcast.
I know, seems like a bit of a cop out. He said he had no Wi-Fi, but he's managing to post these questions, isn't he?
Coben, we've gone 33 minutes so far without talking about Arsenal.
Yeah.
What was your question, Coben? Because you made a very good question, a very good point then that we kind of just skipped over, didn't you?
Well, my point was going to be, to what extent do you think that any of the things that we're seeing in this lockdown are going to be carried over? And is there anything that you'd like to see carried over? Are there any little tweaks that the game has made that you think would be good in the long term?
No, not a fan.
No 5 subs?
No, I think it makes it too much feel like a friendly. Don't get me wrong, you obviously seen maybe not so much within British football, but within maybe football on the continent, you've seen young players being given opportunities in the first team, which I think is obviously good for their development. However, as I say, in the matches that I've watched, it does have that sort of friendly feel, especially if they're not subs being made simultaneously, sort of like each team. Do you know what I mean? Because think about it, you could have 10 substitutions, however long they take, just completely breaking up the flow of a game. So, yeah, I think it's. Don't get me wrong, as I said, there's definitely benefits to it, but I think in the long term, substitutions I don't think it's got any place in the game. I think it should revert back to 3 and then obviously 4 for the competitions.
Max?
I would happily just go back to normal as per. I mean, the drinks breaks are fine for now. I think when you're playing in the height of summer, I think it's fine. 3 subs, yeah, back to normal. But I'm happy with things.
Tilly?
I think one of the best things that's come of this whole situation for me is the way that these footballers have been put in the spotlight and the way they've responded to help so many causes that they perhaps probably wouldn't have done otherwise. I mean, you've seen Rashford with his campaign that he's done for the free school meals. Whether he'd have done that if COVID hadn't happened and he'd not had the tie, you don't know that. Again, with the Black Lives Matter movement, the players taking a knee before the game, wearing it on the shirts, the badges on the sleeves. I think that's brilliant that they've embraced that as well. And I think it's, with having no fans there, it's really allowed the Premier League to focus on the importance of these messages. And in doing so, I think it's gained a load of support for the right reasons and looking to make the world a better place. And I think that's the only positive.
Yeah, to add to that, like, I remember not too long ago when there was the far right protests in London, as it were. There was, and they were being described as football fans, weren't they? You know, people congregating and hooligans, football hooligans, but football was being branded well. So I thought the Premier League, did a brilliant job to try and distance themselves from that.
Well, they were all chanting England songs, weren't they?
Well, that is one thing that I would like to shout out. We've seen it not just in football, but essentially across pretty much everyone with a platform. That, during these times, the public basically speak, right? During these times where, there's big contentious issues, the public speak. And right now, everyone wants to hear someone who's got something positive to say about the global issues that's going on. That's not always the case, right? Sometimes the rivalries are more divisive. Sometimes the performance is more divisive. But because of this massive global situation that's affected everyone, the Premier League and the clubs in the Premier League have taken it upon themselves to have positive messaging. And they've seen how powerful that platform is when they actually utilize it. And then so one thing that I would like to see carry on out of this lockdown is a real commitment to showing support and solidarity with causes that everyone in their right mind should support. Everyone in their right mind should support the NHS. I appreciate the fact that the Premier League have gone out of their way to make sure they show support for the NHS. Arguably everyone in their right mind should show some level of support to Black Lives Matter, given everything that's happened. And the Premier League, I think, has done that in a dignified way. I think it's really interesting because for commercial reasons, but also just for overall social reasons, most of these clubs, most of these organizations, and even the league try to keep their hands out of all of these issues. And I think what this time really shows is that if you take a common sense approach to what's right and what's wrong, you can actually take a stance, try and make a positive change, and then not have a significant backlash. You can take a stance, try and make a significant change, and not necessarily have to worry about the dissenting voices that may take away from the positivity of that message. Because I feel like people have, like you said, tried to detract from some of the positive messages, and overwhelmingly, the football community has shown support to the movements and denigrated the people who try to take away from that movement. And it makes me, for one, as a part of a community of football fans who have sometimes not got a great name, it's good for me to see that football fans the world over, and certainly in my own city and in my own country, show support for these great causes. And then they're willing to actually show that support on a day-to-day basis, not just for one day where you change your profile picture to a black picture just to show, but over a course of multiple games. And I really appreciate that. Not just as a black person, but just as someone who has seen, for example, Mesut Ozil not get the support that he should have got from Arsenal Football Club when he called out the treatment of the Uyghur Muslims in China. They came out and said, Arsenal don't get involved in political messaging at all. And then when Black Lives Matter happened during the lockdown, they did get involved. Now, that level of hypocrisy I didn't really feel comfortable with, but I hope...
Think there's probably a link back to the rivalry with Spurs there as well, isn't there, on some level?
Yeah. But I hope, and maybe it's hoping in vain, but I do hope that since Arsenal Football Club and other clubs have seen that they can get behind great political and social causes without having a significant commercial and public backlash, they'll continue to do so. And I've been happy with being an Arsenal fan, being a Premier League fan, and being a football fan, with the way that the entirety of football has conducted themselves with dignity and respect and pride during this trying moment.
Yeah,
you say this about positive messages, Coben, which is great. But did you see that article yesterday that I was really shocked? I think it was on BBC, which is normally, I think, a fairly neutral platform for these things. And they criticised Evra and Redknapp for not wearing the Black Lives Matter badges in the studio because they had them on last week and then they didn't have them on this week. Why on earth do they feel like they need to raise a point there?
Yeah. I mean, again,
this is people will click on that. Do you know what I mean? People click on that.
I'd like to reiterate. I'm proud of football, the clubs, the organisations, the leagues. When it comes to the football media, that doesn't extend to the football media for me personally.
Yeah.
I'm not slating them. I'm not denigrating them. I'm not talking them down. But I'm saying that kind of pride and solidarity and community, respect, dignity that I feel about the footballers, the way they conducted themselves, the match officials, even though how I feel about them generally, and the clubs as an organisation, the leagues themselves, I feel like they've been really good. I don't feel the same way about the football media. I feel like the football media have been as sensationalist as they've always been. And that's just the nature of the business. It's not necessarily a critique of them, because of course, you're like Max said, they're trying to get clicks, and that is what they're trying to do. I understand what they have to do. I understand that's I understand that's an obligation of theirs to try and get the clicks and try and get the number of people engaging with their content as possible. But that necessarily disqualifies you from constructive, critical discussion.
Well, the thing.
Put forth ideas that are just going to get people's juices flowing. So
the thing is as well,
they're not really part of it for me. And I agree with you. They shouldn't be talking to people like Patrice Evra and trying to denigrate them for not showing support to a movement that, number one, they clearly had in their heart because they wore it last week.
This is
and number two, even if they didn't show support, I don't think it's the BBC's place to try and call that out. But that's just my perspective. And I understand that, of course, they're just doing their jobs and so on and so forth.
Just as an update for you, Coben, it'll make you quite happy. It's now Sheffield United 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
Oh, Jose. I can't wait to watch that interview.
What I love about this Tottenham situation the most, right? And it's probably not going to be what you expect from an Arsenal fan, but what I love about this Tottenham situation the most is Tottenham are still paying Pochettino and his backroom staff millions of pounds on an annualized basis because none of them have taken a new job. And because of that, no matter how bad Mourinho does, they're not going to fire him because then they'll have to pay him and Potchoff and pay a new manager. So because of that, if Mourinho keeps failing,
I love you.
They're not going to pay out £50 million to a non-managing managerial team. So they're just going to keep him on, and he's going to bury himself.
Is he on a 5-year deal?
It's not Mourinho. It's the players. The players aren't trying hard enough.
It's gas. Because Pochettino's a wavy manager, and everyone knows that. United know that. Arsenal know that. Everyone knows Pochettino's everyone knows Pochettino's a wavy manager. If it was a managerial issue, we would know about it. If it was a player issue, we'd know about it. Ultimately, it's part of Tottenham's DNA. They're a fundamentally shit football club. They haven't won the league since before we went to the moon. They haven't won the league since before the Berlin Wall came down.
1961, it was.
The Berlin Wall was still up. Okay. The personal computer the personal computer hadn't been invented.
Well, that's way before that.
So
I swear, since the
Why
last
not?
time they've won the league, Liverpool got us kicked out of Europe and then won it twice.
yes,
1961. I'll say it again. That is old.
yeah.
That is
The
50
Beatles formed and split up since Tottenham won the league.
the only person that I mean,
I swear the iPhone's been invented since Arsenal last won the league, though, lads.
When did the iPhone come out?
I think it was 2005, maybe.
Are we comparing the iPhone coming out to the moon landing?
Well,
JFK was still alive. JFK was still alive.
Newcastle
Elvis was alive.
Newcastle won the league in Newcastle won the FA Cup in 1955.
Last time
That was
that
the last time they won a
Tottenham won the league, there wasn't a Channel Tunnel, boys.
Yeah.
There wasn't a Channel Tunnel. There
What,
was
the
none of
Euro
that.
Tunnel?
Yeah, wasn't there.
Euro Tunnel was
Wasn't
like 2000, mate.
Star Wars hadn't come out at all. None of this has happened.
Euro
You're
Tunnel
saying
was like
that-
2000.
I think
Yeah,
you could.
I'm
probably
telling you everything that's happened since.
Yeah, no, but like that's relative
Yeah,
to
all night, mate.
1961.
What, you think I'm just going to tell you facts from the fucking 60s? No.
I don't
You need
know.
to get
I
a
don't
sense of the time. You get the Watergate scandal.
You're on a
hadn't
mad
happened.
one. You're on a
Richard
mad
Nixon
one.
was still in there. Vietnam hadn't happened.
Yeah, these are more what I'm talking about.
Nah.
Bloody
You've
hell.
got to give everyone scale. Not everyone's as old as fuck like you. Some people are 18, 19.
Mate, you're
listening.
older than me, geez.
Yeah, exactly. So why are you chatting shit?
You're 30 now, David.
Nah,
You're
definitely not.
in the league.
Nah. I'm not Pierre yet.
You're Pierre, where you, what is it? What's it Victorian
Yo,
saying?
Pierre, why don't you come out here?
Yeah. Speaking of Arsenal, wow, it's been a bit of a whirlwind since we've been back, hasn't it, Coburn?
A few injuries.
So it started off horrendously. I mean, that game at City, the 2 injuries early on, and then you know the City game was what it was. Then Brighton wasn't a great day for us, and then Leno was injured, and it looked like he was going to be out for, people were saying, a year. And then we lost that game. Neil Maupay had his last laugh. I mean, I'm squeezing all this in because we should have had a couple of podcasts in between,
To
but we
cap it
haven't.
off, you've extended David Luiz's contract, haven't you? As well?
And that, but since then, Emi Martinez has been outstanding since he's come back in. Jesus Christ, he's been good. But yeah, no, it's an interesting one at the moment. We've got a very tough run of games ahead. We picked up 3 points last night against Norwich. Coburn, where do you stand on things? Obviously, we're still finding our feet. Bukayo Saka with a new deal. It's good to see. Rumours of Pierre maybe getting there. I mean, we spoke loads on the phone, but why don't you summarise a little bit for us at the moment how our Arsenal fans might be feeling?
I think there's optimism for the future. I think we have the infrastructure to be able to present some sort of challenge in 3 or 4 years. I think next season's come too early. I think United are a shit football club. I think that ultimately we're in a situation whereby if you actually look at our record in 2020, the only team that's got a better record than us is Liverpool. So it's very much a situation where since Arteta's come in, we've seen some sort of transformation of play, but we don't actually know how permanent that is. There's been a new manager bound before. Emery went 22 games unbeaten in his first 22 games. And we saw how that ended. So your mileage may vary on how much an effect he's having. But from a subjective perspective, from what I've read, from what I've seen, and from what I kind of emotionally take from what his messaging is like, I'm positive about the future. I just think ultimately it's a scenario where, number one, the best we're going to finish this season is 7th. Number two, the best we're going to finish next season is probably 4th or 5th. And then we'll have to see what the cycles of the other football teams are looking at after that. But I am enthused by Bukayo Saka. I am enthused by the form of Pepe since he's come back.
Yeah.
I am enthused by the talks that we're in advanced talks with Thomas Partey. And, you know, the rumours that we're still trying to negotiate a deal with Meccano, who has come out and confirmed that he is definitely going to leave Leipzig, definitely not going to sign a new deal, and that he's going to be going for less than his release clause. I think, you know, a couple of additions, we could be back in the mix for top 4, top 5 next year. And then depending on how we look next year with those additions and with another extra year of Mikel Arteta coaching, we can talk about the next couple of years. But I think, it's like you said, we talked on the phone previously. I think Chelsea and United could flirt with the top 2 next year. They're not going to close. No one's fucking,
Just a bit of foreplay.
Yeah, I think if they play the long game, after a couple of dates, they could get in there 2-3 seasons down the line. But for next season, I just think it's come too early.
It depends on
get a second date if you come too early.
I think with the thing that City have messed up so much this season is, in my opinion, I think they've got better squad depth than Liverpool do. Yeah. And so you would have assumed that with a couple of injuries, they might have been all right. With Liverpool, they've had quite a lucky run this year in that they haven't had...
And last year.
And last year for that, they haven't had massive injuries that have plagued the squad. We've had an awful season for injuries this year, and City have had a few. But I just think, and so have Arsenal, even since coming back, they've had 4 or 5 that have been injured, haven't you? And then I just think that on a different day, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how important these injuries can actually be on a team season. As much as you're saying that we're going to flirt with them, City and Liverpool get a plague of injuries, mate. There's no reason United and Chelsea can't finish top 2.
Very true, because United have built a decent squad beneath their squad. Or at least they're trying to over the years. I just think that in terms of, and I was having this conversation with my friend who's a Chelsea fan quite recently. And his entire point was he was saying that he thinks Chelsea's going to be up there with Liverpool and City. And I kind of agreed with him, but I disagreed with him on the timescale, because if you look at the maturity of the top players in the squad, that's what I normally look at. So you look at a team like Liverpool, you look at a team like City. You have quality players, but so do United and Chelsea, right? So does Arsenal. But the difference is Liverpool and City have their best players have multiple years of experience in the Premier League at this level competing for titles. And so they have the capacity to hit that level and stay there. A team like Chelsea, you will have Timo Werner, you will have Hakim Ziyech, but these are 2 players who are coming straight into the league. So even if they are as good, there's going to be a level of adaptation that Aguero and Firmino are not going to have to do. There's going to be a level of adaptation that Salah and Sterling are not going to have to do. And it's the same with United. Bruno Fernandes, he'll have had 6 months to adapt, but will he be at the peak of his powers like Kevin De Bruyne? I'm not sure. It's the ability to actually have that core of players that are going to perform week in, week out. That core of players that know how to beat a Southampton, know how to beat Norwich, know how to beat Villa, and know how to break down these English sides. And they've already done it. They've been through it. They've got the confidence of the manager. And that's really what I look at. The core of a great squad is based on a couple of players who know exactly what they have to do week in, week out. And I think that's one of the reasons why Hendo is so important to Liverpool.
Yeah, Milner.
Yeah, Milner, because you can bring players in and, Milner and Hendo know what it takes to do what do what you need to do to get out of the game with a win. And I feel like communicating that energy, that intensity, and also that confidence is very, very important. And I feel like with United, like you're mentioning players like Brandon Williams, you're mentioning players like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, you're mentioning players like I love Wan-Bissaka. He's one of my favourite players. And definitely one of my favourite fullbacks in the world.
Right back in the Prem. Defensively.
I think defensively he's the best right back in Europe.
Yeah,
I think as a one-on-one defender, you cannot show me a better right back than Wan-Bissaka in Europe, right? As a one-on-one defender, if you're running at him one-on-one, no one gets past him. I've seen him settle top players on a regular basis. And also, since the lockdown, it looks like someone's having a word with him because he's getting the ball run across his body, he's opening out, he's beating players. I've seen him do a couple step overs, I've seen him drop the shoulder. He's actually looked much better in an attacking sense since we've come back from the lockdown. And I feel like it's just been a confidence issue. He used to be a midfielder, so he's clearly got the ability to open up on his left side, open up on his right side, show left, go right, show right, go left, drop the shoulder, but he just hasn't been doing it. I think he's been a bit overawed by his role at United. I feel like now he's comfortable in his own skin. He's confident. He's trying some things in the final third. And I also think because he's got more confidence in the midfield in front of him, he's more willing to take a couple of risks, knowing that someone can tuck him behind him and cover around if he really needs them to. And I think Wan-Bissaka is developing into a big player. But I don't think that Wan-Bissaka is where Kyle Walker is. You know, he hasn't won leagues.
Yeah.
He hasn't dominated. He doesn't have that composure at all stages of the season throughout every stage of the game. And I feel like that's what puts City and Liverpool in good stead, because it's really about having that core of players that know exactly what it takes. And I think the best example about that is Conte's Chelsea team. Bearing in mind, that's the same Chelsea team that came 10th the year before, but they'd won the league in the last couple of seasons. They still had the core of players that knew what it takes to win a Premier League game, even when you're not playing well, to win 2-3 games in a row, to be able to deal with kind of three games in a week, different tactical instructions, different shapes, and be able to just put out that performance. And I think that's where Liverpool and City are furthest along. I also think that's where City have kind of fucked it by not replacing Vincent Kompany, because he was a massive, massive presence, not just on a physical or defensive or on even just a captain sense, but in terms of knowing what it takes, in terms of being able to marshal the rest of the players and tell them at half time, this is what it takes. This is what I need from you. When I tell you to stand here, you stand there. When I tell you to press him, you press him. I don't feel like Chelsea or United, those kinds of players to me, to the same degree as Liverpool City. I think Chelsea have Kante, and that's it, in terms of someone who knows what it takes. I don't think Kovacic, in the same way, or Jorginho, Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount, I don't think they have that. Azpilicueta as well. Kante and Aspi, I'm confident in.
As Kai Havertz, these players that they're looking to bring in.
Yeah, I mean, I love Havertz. Football Manager legend, FIFA legend, real life legend, rate him. But, when he comes into the league, does he have the personality of someone who's going to Mo Salah it and just go, I'm going to bag every single week. I'm going to dominate this game myself. I'm going to take this game by the scruff of the neck. I don't think he does. He's a great, great player in the Ozil mold of, I'm an incredible creative and technical player. You have the right setup, I'll body you. And he's more physical. He's a bit more of a modern player than Ozil in that sense. He doesn't float through games in the same way. But he's not I'm going to take this game by the scruff of the neck and win you the league. He's not going to win the ball, run 70 yards and bang it when the team's down in the 85th minute. He's a great, great, great player, but he's young. Salah had a point to prove when he came back. I think Salah is, the kind of character, the kind of personality that United and Chelsea would definitely need a couple of to really push them over that line to really compete with Liverpool and City. That's my opinion, but my opinion is right.
Albert's clocked out. He's had enough.
His potatoes.
Just as we're rounding off, 15 minutes time, we're about to see the Titanic clash, the Guard of Honor as well, between City and Liverpool. Danny Murphy was saying this week. Danny Murphy was saying this week that he thinks it's outrageous that the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Sergio Aguero will have to bow to players not of their footballing ability and can't lace Kevin De Bruyne's boots, even though he wears laceless boots. Can I add? But
half the Liverpool squad wouldn't know how to tie shoelaces anyway.
Subtle. We'll do a quick one as we round things off. But what are people's score predictions? So there, you can go first.
I think City will do him. I think they've got a point to prove. They're going to have to give him a guard of honour. I think they're going to be quite bitter about that, and I think for that reason they're going to be up for it more than Liverpool, who obviously don't really care now. Although the Klopp will be saying 100 points this and that. But no, I think City will win. I think it will be 2-0.
Okay, Albert, what do you think is going to happen? Okay, Coburn, what do you think is going to happen?
I'm probably going to go for.
He's about 50.
I don't know, 1-1.
1-1. Okay, Coburn, what are you thinking, mate?
1-1.
I'm ultimately thinking that first and foremost, De Bruyne is clearly better than Hendo. Let's not ever get that twisted. That's the most important thing I just wanted to kind of share with the group. After that, I think City versus Arsenal 8:15 Wednesday. Is that the game I'm predicting?
What are you doing?
Yeah, that
Why
was
is it Arsenal? Why is it Arsenal?
I don't know why I put Arsenal. It's
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Liverpool.
saying. What's
I
going
meant
on?
to put Wolves. I pressed the wrong
So
one.
City, Liverpool.
No,
There we go.
I think I have to back City in this one. I'm going to go with a 2-1 City.
2-1 City. Right. That's that. Thank you all for joining us. It's been a real pleasure. Good to get back.
Whoa. What was
the
Arsenal
pod-
prediction? What's going on?
All right. Well, I thought Albert wanted us to wrap up.
He does, but we'll have a quick go round. Albert, Wolves versus where I don't even know where it's gone now. Wolves v Arsenal. Albert.
He's
Ah,
watching.
Saturday.
He's watching the Columbia Cup final that weekend.
I don't know. I'll go 5-0 Wolves going out there. Why not?
Get
No,
you
I
I've
up.
fucking done it.
Just
All right, Alb.
see you later.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and on that note, boys,
That is
get a
Albert's
drink,
last
get
performance
my
on this
food.
podcast.
We've had a
Right,
tactical
right.
change up. We're going to a 4 at the back system.
Oh, he's actually off. All right. What,
Go for a
Yeah,
drink.
sling
mate.
your up, mate.
Tilly.
Yeah.
What are you
Yeah,
saying?
I think it'll be a tough one. I think Wolves have looked very good this season, and I think that they're starting to compete with the big boys. Don't know. I can see it being a 2 or 3 draw. To be honest, quite a few goals, but
Oh,
yeah, I think there'll be goals. I think both teams will score. Go 2-2.
Cobes.
1-1.
1-1. I actually think 1-1 as well. I
So
think
we're
1-1.
all draw. They're two good sides.
Lads, I've seen my mum's book club has arrived. Socially distanced outside under a gazebo.
Well, why do you need to go then? You get involved. What's this week's book?
Well, I mean, it's. I'm not getting involved. Don't worry. It's a bit of a.
Don't worry.
It's a bit of a bear pit out there.
Have you been reading 50 Shades of Grey again, Max?
Wait, just quickly. Just quickly, Max, tell
Yes,
me
mate.
your thoughts on the Sheffield United Tottenham game.
I was just about to. What do you mean, mate?
3-1 full time.
3-1.
3-1 full time. Yeah.
I mean, don't throw stones in glass houses with Arsenal at the moment because we've been there. We've been on the suffering end of it. However, they've been particularly loud this week, the Tottenham fans.
They have.
And when we beat Sheffield United in the FA Cup, when they were playing their strongest team, it was, we were ridiculed for it. And, this is the team that lost to Newcastle and whatnot. Whatever suits the narrative, really. So I'm going to enjoy that one a lot. I really am.
All I will say is,
and
Sheffield United, 5 shots on target. Tottenham, 2 shots on target.
Says a lot, really, doesn't it? Says a lot. But we might have a couple of Tottenham listeners out there, so go fuck yourself.
On that
note, guys.
Cheers for that message, Albert.
Boys' connection went well. To be honest, it went before. So Albert, you need to fix it, mate. Move to another part of the house. IMO, because it's consistent. We're seeing it consistently. Lads, it's been a real pleasure. I'm delighted to be back on the Pod Horse. And do you know what? I actually think this was probably the best one. Sorry, Body.
I think the one where you weren't there was probably the best one, Max.
Really? I think it was last.
We had a good host. Thought we had a really good host that week.
Nah, I don't think so. But everyone, at V at the back, it's 5 at the back when there's 5 of us. Like, comment, and subscribe. It's been a real pleasure. Stay safe out there, and we will see you later.
Fire your questions.
Yes, people.
Fire your questions in.
Yes, people. Get your questions in. And we will be here. We'll be back.
Yeah, we will read out your questions.
Yeah,
yeah.
Simon was an example. We will read out your questions.
You can email viattheback@gmail.com, or if you want to drop us a DM on Facebook, Twitter, Insta with a question.
To be fair, I didn't know we had an email, so that's great.
Then yeah, we can. I was going to add it to the banner, but it's a little bit long as it is. But yeah,
Spurs.
Guys, love it.
Fuck Liverpool.
In a bit.